Good afternoon. How's everyone doing today? Have a good lunch? Cleared our heads? We got all kinds of inspiration, information, talking points, and all the things yesterday and this morning. This afternoon, we're going to help you learn some things to bring it all together. So I'm going to start with the top line results of our annual franchise marketing report. We've expanded it a little bit this year to include more online reputation management as well as AI. So I'll talk about that. Then we're going to have a panel of leaders who will talk about how you monetize your customer experience and how they've put monetization to work in their brands. And then after that, you guys will be able to go to your Meet the Match session or a breakout session. And we've got a 2:30 track and a 3:45 track, so there'll be lots of learning. And then we're going to come back over here and do our awards and have a party. So it doesn't get much better than that, right? Okay, so thanks for having me. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the AFMR. We survey franchisor executives on what you're doing in your brand so that we can learn, and we create this tool as a benchmarking piece to help you make better decisions and stay more informed on what's going on in the industry. We've got a cross-section of the representation of the industry. One of the first questions we always ask, how are leads? How's traffic count? The good news is that this number continues to improve every year. Since starting after COVID, this wasn't the prettiest number in the survey, and it continues to improve. So that's good news. We talk about marketing spend, and what I think is interesting about this chart is this shows how people are using marketing. And when you think about what Mike Walsh said yesterday about the population moving, boomers are not as prevalent in our population anymore. Gen Z is moving up. We're using digital and social more. But I think the important thing is that as marketers, we all know that an integrated marketing strategy is the best thing that you can do for your brand. And as you can see, a lot of people believe that. It might not. The percent of spend may be a little bit different, but to have a lot of different things in your toolkit is important. Same with digital. We've got a lot of different things going on over here, but not putting all of your eggs in one basket is always good. So the next question we asked is about local spend. It's always interesting to see how brands address that, right? Because brand's going to be different based on the size of their organization and what they're doing. So 78% do require or recommend local spend. What I think is interesting about this chart is 40 of those who do, 45% leave their franchisees on the honor system to present their results to the franchisor. Then the next thing that we looked at is customer experience and what kind of measurements do we have. What's interesting is on this one, everybody has a process or a model, but the numbers that on this chart that continue to move and migrate a little bit on an annual basis is who's responsible for it. And this 36% that say multiple members of their team are now responsible for their customer experiences, I think it's a really welcome thing. That's why we're all here together, because while you need to have a leader and a champion, there is no one department that should be solely and singularly responsible for customer experience. And then the next thing that we did was we said, okay, let's work our way through the process, right? If we're going to look at what customer experience looks like, let's talk about another layer of measurements. And so we're starting to track, and we'll be presenting to you on CX and online reputation management. So there are a couple charts in here. This first one is about what kind of metrics? What are we tracking? And it's kind of everything, which I think is great, right? Because you've got your marketing, your operations, your technology. These pieces are pretty much covered. And then what? Platforms and tools. Again, a variety of things. And this one, do you manage it in-house or outsource? So the who, right there. It's interesting. We got almost 60% still manage this in-house. This is one of the stats that I'm going to watch over time, because I think that there are we've met a lot of sponsors here, and there are a lot of companies who do it better than we can, right? And so I think it's just a stat to watch. And then the next thing would be, what are your challenges? So kind of identify what you need to do, what kind of services you want, who you need to speak with. And then we're going to move into a new bigger section that I'll stop and let you look at these slides a little bit more, because they're a little bit deeper and more important. And then I'm going to give you guys a heads up now. Pull your phones out, because when I get to the end of the survey, I'm going to show you a QR code that will allow you to download the top line information today. So you'll have the first section of the survey, and then we'll get the rest of it out to you in the next couple weeks. So what we did was we said we would be remiss if we didn't start reporting and surveying and benchmarking how franchisors are using AI in their systems. So the first question is, are you using it? And kind of in the middle. Some are, some aren't. If you think about what Mike Walsh said yesterday, if you're in the 43%, you might want to get working on that, right? Because you need to use it and experience it and try it to stay current with it. Also, which areas of customer experience, and we weren't really sure what we were going to get when we reached out on this one, because, it can be used everywhere or nowhere or anywhere. And it looks like people are trying some level of AI in a variety of different departments, which I think is a good thing. And that's how you get your best learning. Then we said, how confident are you? And I think that this is actually a pretty good number, with only 15% saying that they're not confident. But I think the way that you move that confidence needle is use it, work with it, try something different, keep going, don't give up. And then we asked, how has integration of AI impacted your overall customer experience, right? The next progression. This one is, we're already seeing benefits, which is great. Our next question was challenges and limitations. And I think this one I want to spend a little bit more time letting you look at this, because when I look at this chart, and I know that we've got a session this afternoon called Meet Your Match, where we've got sponsors who provide some of these services, and they can help you. So check it out, pull out your toolkit, open your app, go see who you want to meet, or actually, better yet, go meet everybody, because you're not going to know who you need until you need them. And then you won't be here. Okay, so planning on further investment in AI, I think, most everybody is planning some level of investment. And I think that there are a lot of brands, they're not quite sure how much, when, where. But I think this is going to continue to grow, and this is another stat that will change over time. Franchisee involvement. And when I was looking at this stat, I thought, this is kind of interesting, right? Do you involve your franchisees in the open discussions? And it's kind of a mixed bag, but I think back to my franchisor days, and I think, at least yes, it's going to be important for you to involve your franchisees in your decision-making process on AI. What I think in the takeaway, and when I look at some of the data, I think it will be important for you as brand leaders to educate yourselves in the things that you want to discuss with your franchisees before you open your conversations with them, because it could go either way, right? If you don't know what you're talking about, that can go south real fast. So that would be my advice on this one. And then training and support to franchisees. And I thought this one was interesting too. And I think, some brands are providing training and some aren't. I think you will eventually, depending on what your tool is or your platform or how you plan to use it. It'll be important to go back to the franchisees at that point. The next one, effectiveness. This is kind of the same thing, right? Like tools are evolving every day. Platforms, we have something new. I think you've got to find the right fit for you, for your brand, and the service that you need. And that feedback from customers, again, it's going to grow, it's going to change, it's new. And I guess, what kind of feedback you need is going to depend on how you use the AI. But it's like everything else, it's going to be important to find out what people are thinking, your customers, your franchisee customers, your employee customers, and your end user customers. And that's kind of the end of this portion of the survey. So what you do is download this. This is the top line report. You'll have this one. It's about 70 slides. And then we're going to be working on the rest of the report in the coming weeks. We'll have another couple sections of it that are sliced and diced in areas like unit count and industry categories, so you can get a little bit deeper into those who are your competitors. And so that kind of concludes my part of this day. And then again, go see somebody, meet somebody you haven't met yet. And I also have a great opportunity to introduce our next panel, which is the monetization of the customer experience, led by Barbara Moran Goodrich. And I'd like to invite Barb and the team to the stage.